of them which had a huge rise and increase in the last couple of years, and this year I maybe say the peak of propaganda is the LGBTQ agenda and movement and advertisement. It has reached new heights, and of course it's in conflict with our religion and our moral code. But how can we as Muslim youth, as teenagers, as youngsters who are exposed to this in our schools, in our social lives, on social media, how can we cope with this and defend our principles as Muslims without losing our reputation, our society? Because we have nothing against them, it's against our religion, and more important, how to protect our children and increase their knowledge and arming them to defend their rights as Muslims, but at the same time being tolerant and not having the label of being intolerant in their societies.
Here's how I would tackle this dilemma.
Yeah.
I would say to anyone who's interested in the Islamic perspective on LGBTQ, for instance, or homosexuality in general, I would say to everyone out there who wants to hear us the following. I would say I love this country because it grants me the freedom of thought and the freedom of expression. We are diverse, we have different opinions. Being a citizen, a good citizen, doesn't mean that you are forced to follow someone's ideas and ideologies. We have freedom of expression here. As long as I'm not advocating for violence, I'm not dehumanizing, I'm not causing hatred in society and destabilizing society, I have the right to express myself. So you see those groups out there who are trying to silence us, they are the ones who are confiscating our right of freedom of expression. Don't you believe in freedom of expression? Allow me to express myself. I have the right to express myself. Why is it that when I express myself, suddenly I am the bad one? Doesn't this country guarantee me this right? The Constitution, does it guarantee me the right to express myself? So listen to what I have to say. You don't have to accept it. But the beauty is we can sit together and we can academically discuss it. It doesn't mean I have to support everything in society. That's one very important point I'd like to share. The second way I would tackle that is the following. When you allow society to decide moral values for you, you're not looking at a fixed foundation. Society changes every day. 50 years ago in the US, homosexuality was seen as a psychological disorder. It was officially in the manual of disorders. In the 1970s, they took it off. So was society right back then? Or today when it's encouraging it? Or 50 years when God knows what will happen? There is no fixed foundation. Why are you bullying me and forcing me to accept something that's ever changing? When I have my own moral principles, is that fair? Honestly, is that fair to impose that on someone? I want to have a fixed moral foundation that gives me confidence. I don't have confidence in something that keeps changing. You have confidence in it, that's fine, I respect that. But you don't have the right to impose it on me. I have the right to say what is a moral lifestyle, what is a moral family structure that's healthy, that's good. Honestly, I really feel bad for many people who have been a victim of some of these agendas. I have seen statistics, research by scientists, for instance, people who, transgenders, right, who change their gender. In no way am I judging them here.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of research that's showing that this is affecting their psychological health. Those people who change their gender, especially children, and they're pushing this on children. You don't feel comfortable with your gender? Just go and have get surgery done and you can change your sex, or you can even change your gender, right?
Yeah.
A lot of them are struggling from depression, anxiety. Studies have shown that for a lot of them, it gets worse. The suicide rate gets higher. Some of them, they regret doing that. You know, there are teenagers right now without parental consent. In some US states, they can go to a clinic and do gender conversion therapy without parental consent. And some of them are suing those clinics when they grow up.
Wow.
There was this girl who sued the clinic. She basically said, I was a child. I didn't know any better. Why did you allow me to change my sex? And you had, you know, this invasive surgery done on me.
It goes against their own democracy and morals.
Why did that happen? Now, why am I forced to come and accept this? When I'm not convinced that this is the best for my society? Respect my stance. When it comes to the LGBTQ issue, we do not dehumanize. They are fellow citizens. We peacefully live with them. We do not dehumanize them. We do not incite hatred or violence against them. However, we do not see that this is the moral lifestyle that God wants for us and all the prophets of God. Since Adam, Abraham, until Moses, Jesus, and Prophet Muhammad. None of them advocated for homosexuality. In fact, they said that this is not the moral lifestyle that God wants for you. Now, if someone wants to choose that, that's fine. That's their choice. I respect that you have your own choice in society, but it doesn't mean that I encourage this choice, because I believe this choice has consequences. Why should I impose that on my family, on my future generation? That would be unfair. And if you really believe in freedom of expression, respect my opinion. But today, unfortunately, the minute you don't show your support, they invent all these labels against you. I've heard that you're a racist. I've heard this in schools, right? Excuse me, can you define racism for me? How's that being racist if I don't support homosexuality? Homosexuality is an act. It's a practice, right? What does that have to do with racism? Well, then they started to invent another label, homophobe. You're a homophobe right now. Labels should not intimidate us. If something is true in our opinion, we have to hold on to it. We have to hold on to the moral values that we have for our children. And we have to discuss this with our children. What I would say, especially to Muslim families, your child is 5, 6, 7, talk to them about this issue. Because if you don't, the school is, the teacher is, the cartoon is, the movie that they're seeing is. It's much better for you, the parent, to be the first one to have this conversation with your children than to have others educate them about this. Tell them, Baba, we live in a world where people have different lifestyles. That's fine. People can do whatever they want. But this is our lifestyle. Because this is the moral way. This is what God and the Quran wants from us. This is the way that is the most psychologically healthy way for us to live. So understand, you will go to school tomorrow, you will hear about these issues. Don't get confused. Our path is clear. We hold on to our path. And people would like to live in different ways. That's completely okay. It's their right. Talk to your children about it. Let them make sense of what's going on. Some parents will disagree with me. Tell me, so no, say it. My child is too young. I don't want to use these terms and words with them. Well, the reality is, your teacher is.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not. Society is, whether you like it or not. So at least you be the first one, so we don't cause confusion. There is mass confusion right now amongst our younger generation. They honestly don't know how to navigate this. Because at home nobody talks about it. Taboo, be quiet. You're not allowed to talk about it. Even in some mosques, in some community centers, you're not allowed to talk about it, by the way. I know some places, they'll not allow you to talk about it. No, please don't talk about this. We have families and kids over here. Don't talk about this. Of course, we're assuming that the speaker is addressing it appropriately. There might be some speakers who address it inappropriately. We reject that. But it's a taboo in some communities. Okay, fine, if it's a taboo here, your child is going to learn in school, and then they will get confused. It creates an identity crisis, and that's why we're seeing very high rates of anxiety, depression, and even suicide amongst our generation, because they're honestly lost. I mean, imagine a child who's 5, 6, 7, or 8, now they have to choose their gender, right? On top of all these other things that you choose, now you have to choose your gender. Honestly, a child at the age of 5, 6, 7, how much do they know about gender for them to make a choice? Is that an informed decision?
No, they're not.
Do you allow a child to make a decision when it comes to their surgery? Baba, there's 3 surgeries here that you can do. Choose one of them. Who does that? See, that's my perspective.
Illogical, yes.
You disagree, that's fine.
Yeah.
You want your child to experiment with those surgeries? By all means, do it with your child. I'm not responsible for you, but don't impose it on me. I don't want my child to experiment with these surgeries, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
These are important things. You know what gender means? Do you know how many ramifications and consequences there are when you choose a gender? Honestly, does a child know all of them? And we're burdening them. We're burdening them. I have the right to come and say, I don't want my children to be burdened. Don't call me a homophobe, racist. That's not going to change the reality. I'm looking for the well-being of my children because I care. I want the best for my society. But yes, I will not dehumanize you.
Yeah.
I will not incite violence against you.
Yes.
But I respectfully disagree with you. And it's okay to respectfully disagree. That's the beauty of a democracy. That's the beauty of a free country, that we can respectfully disagree with one another. So that is how I would look at this discussion. But we have to have these conversations with our youth and with our children. Tell them what God says in the Quran, how we view it, why we need to have a fixed moral foundation, so they're not confused when they go out there.
And beautifully said. Now, it really isn't a time to don't discuss taboos anymore, because we face many challenges, and we just discussed the top of the iceberg. And unfortunately, there are many more, and we only
there are
gonna
many
mention
more layers to the
many more
discussion,
layers to the discussion, and many more struggles and challenges we face. This is just the top of the iceberg. And another one which has got some attention lately in the last couple of years, in the COVID years, is depression, which you already mentioned a couple of times. In the time of COVID, the rise of depression was huge.